Welcome to the Only Brother Sister podcast, built for teachers, by teachers, dumplings over flowers.
I'm the sister, Nicole.
And I'm the brother, Izzy.
And this podcast is here to take you on a backstage tour of our combined 50 years of experience teaching so that we can help you recognize and celebrate substance over appearance.
Or dumplings over flowers. Yeah. Well, Waterman, spin the wheel. All right, Waterman, what is it?
The summer wind.
The summer wind.
The summer wind.
Wow.
Came rolling in.
From across
What a good story.
the sea.
What a good story. I'm excited about this.
It is, but it makes me sad.
I know. I know.
I'm not.
Don't be sad. It makes me happy, but it makes me nostalgic.
No, yeah.
Kind of like the song, yeah?
I guess.
Happy
yeah.
and nostalgic. So this is a story about
the pipes.
the golden
the
voice.
golden pipes.
Was he a custodian?
No.
What was he?
He was a part of the security team, like a dean, part of the dean's team.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure. You know, a hall monitor. I mean, I don't know what.
An all-around lovely man.
Yeah.
That we've encountered in one of our schools. So we were.
Is this a shared story? Because I think we both have so many.
I know.
Like different interactions with our friends.
Yeah. Let me set the scene.
Yeah.
We are in New York City. We are in a very tough neighborhood. Police on every corner.
Oh, yeah.
And then some.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
for us.
No. But the school we were in had some pretty tough kids. It was a SIFE school.
Right.
It was a SIFE, Students with Interrupted Formal Educations.
Yep.
So that means that these are kids who were either spending some time in juvenile detention centers and then came back to school, or had just emigrated to the country.
Sure. Wasn't there a married couple?
Yes, we encountered a married couple in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9th grade?
No, I don't. Grade was hard to really determine.
Classify? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just age, and for their own reason. But you know that we'll go back to that. Actually, it'll factor in.
Let me keep setting the scene. So here we are in the smoke-filled hallways of this school.
Stairwell.
The smoke-filled. I was pregnant for some of my time at this school, so I was always worried about my unborn child's health and safety.
True.
But it turns out he's super smart. So
maybe there's something to that.
I will neither advocate nor deny. Anyway, so we're walking in these halls. Izzy and I have no idea what we're doing this place.
We were coaching.
Well, we knew what we were literally doing,
right.
but you know, we did not feel.
I want everyone to know we weren't part of our
sneak
teaching.
in?
Well, it wasn't part of our teaching experience. This is part of our coaching experience.
Yes, we are coaches. We are walking in this hallway, and we all of a sudden just hear the most beautiful singing that you've ever heard.
Literally, like not hyperbole. This is like where we look at it. I'm saying, where is that coming from? You know, there are a lot of schools. My daughter's school. And in fact, one of the buildings we're still in Brooklyn, sometimes they'll play music in between class change and stuff like that. It's kind of fun and cool. And so at first I thought, that's so cool. You know,
I didn't think that. I think this was a long time ago.
It was long enough ago where that didn't exist. So I would have thought it was cool because I'm all about that.
Right.
And so I'm like, that is so cool. That's how the period ends or something, you know?
With 1950s crooner music.
Granted, I didn't.
That's amazingly cool.
It's not a bad idea to put some, Savage Beast music out there.
Sure.
Or the calming of that. So, I thought, all right,
I'm going to the Savage Beast concert on Friday.
That was my band in high school.
Right.
So anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
So back to the scene. The most beautiful music comes wafting down the hallway and just makes your day. I mean, just completely changes the vibe, the mood, anything that's happening in the day. You just hear this voice and just feel better.
100.
Not to mention the man that was behind the voice just had a way.
We didn't really know him yet, you know? And you talk about keys.
Can you
know,
ever
this is-
really know him?
No. This is the guy with the keys, you know, to the king. So now we knew him as the guy that would, you know, help us get into the supply closet or, you know, kind of cut to the chase when we needed to really support some teachers in the building.
And just such a typical, I don't know, like family man, I want to say, or just that spirit. Like, hey, Richie, his name was Richie. Richie, do you know where we can get a pencil?
Right.
And he would come back with like a backpack full of
you want a
school
number
supplies.
3,
And,
a number 2, you know, like
Yeah.
I got a drafting pencil, you know, what do you need? Just always ready. We're talking in terms of past tense sometimes too, because unfortunately we later found out a couple of years after we met him that Richie passed. And it was a tough time, and it was tough for the kids. And the reason that is so significant is that this population of students was 100% Spanish speaking.
And Richie
was 0% Spanish speaking.
Correct. But boy, did he transcend any kind of language barrier.
Yeah.
With his spirit and his kindness and his openness and his playfulness.
What? So you think creating a learning environment has more to do than just being able to speak the language or try to speak kids speak, or, you know, try to get down to the level of the community and I know these kids and that type of stuff, which, by the way, is also important. But it's not the only important piece, right? So we have 3 tenets of our business that we rest are founded on. Go ahead and tell them. This is a little quiz.
Oh, all right.
course
Well,
you know.
I think we're talking about significance,
Yep.
belonging, and joy. And boy, did Richie encapsulate and make you feel
Right.
all 3 of those things all the time, no matter who you were. He didn't care if a kid couldn't speak to him in English. He didn't care if the kid was failing. He didn't care what happened outside the walls of that school
Nope.
when that kid left.
Yep.
Every kid that walked through those hallways and heard that summer wind
Yep.
floating down felt significant.
And that was just
Felt
one
a
of his
sense of-
pieces.
Yes, just one of the many.
His-
They felt significant.
Yep.
They felt a sense of belonging,
Yep.
even from somebody who was a seeming outsider to them.
It was disarming.
Right.
It was disarming. You know, you have to find in your building a way to not let the pressure of the moment, the pressures that the students are feeling, the pressures that you're feeling as a teacher, there has to be some buffer to that in the way that we communicate with the kids. And the first piece and the thing we learned from Richie was that there is a universal language that cannot be faked. And it became the most significant piece of the puzzle for those students because they adored him. And they had a comfortable confidant that they can rely
Right.
on. Again, even with overcoming language barrier, because it wasn't about that. It was about a feeling of security and safety, and creating, and that helped the school create an environment of the same, so that we can try to, because our first question our first comment to the principal who hired us was, we don't speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And her answer was, or response, I guess, was, neither do half my staff.
Yep.
And so that was so challenging. And maybe, we referenced it even in the first episode that sometimes we find ourselves in situations that we don't want to be
Feel
in.
equipped for.
Yeah.
Feel equipped
Yeah.
for.
Or ill-equipped.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Straight up.
And so what do we have in our toolbox already that can create an atmosphere by which we can then develop and grow and become what we need to be as a foundation, right? And even, mentioned again, like relationship over content in terms of getting,
Yeah.
post-pandemic teaching.
Yeah,
Things that
Richie would
it
be
taught us.
the balm,
Yeah.
the healing balm after this pandemic if he were
Yeah.
still with us, right?
Yeah, and really, I think then where this can go today is just talking about how atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
is the first step to lesson and behavior management.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Adversarial teaching is not teaching. I used to try to say it's not me versus you, it's us versus this system of trying to get to how to learn to think and act in the class. That was kind of my go-to,
Yeah.
and I tried to embody that. It didn't maybe always work out, but one thing that I know that I was conscious of was having a follow-up conversation if I ever recognized that I lost myself in that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
with a student, and I would make sure the next day to kind of push the reset button. And not
What did it if you feel like
Yeah.
being vulnerable? Because that's my favorite thing to be. It's
Yeah.
not always yours.
Yeah,
But if
well-
you feel like it, what does that look like when you lose yourself in that a little bit?
I guess I if I
Because I have a story.
well, I want to hear it, but I don't want to tell too many of those stories because I don't know what the statute of limitations is on.
Got
some of
it. I
No,
will
I'm just
tell you
kidding.
what it looked like for me
There's-
when I lost myself in that.
Yeah.
For the best intentions and the best reasons.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we see a lot of power struggles and control and
Those
issues.
are our
and-
Hollywood heroes, right?
and
We're gonna
things like that.
Command, and we're going to demand. Go. What
Duh.
is it? Yeah.
Don't give away Hollywood heroes.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
Anyway,
I wanted that to be part of the vernacular of this. Waterman, strike that from the record. Then, if
cut
Nicole
that,
didn't want it.
Waterman. Anyway, so for me, when I lost myself with really great intentions, like I thought I was doing the best service to my English students. I'm going to say
English as in subject
English
matter.
language arts. I'm going to say I was teaching ninth graders, which is why I felt such a responsibility and such a great,
First blush at high school.
oh
they're
yeah,
all ready
I'm
to
teaching you
go.
how to
Yeah.
be adults.
Yeah.
That was my hill I was dying on, that I was teaching them how to be adults. Here's how: by forcing them to write with a blue or black pen only.
Well, duh. That's how you were probably taught, right?
Apparently, I don't know. I got it in
Because
my
God
brain.
forbid they write in red, then they're
no,
the
no.
teacher.
Yeah, and that at that time it was like where even the
Yeah.
teachers can't have green
Yeah.
pens,
Woo.
blah blah blah.
Sure.
So I said, okay, you know what, guys? If you can't write a check with whatever you're holding, then you can't do your work with that in my class. I'm
Can you not
preparing
write
you
a
for
check
the
in
world.
red?
You can't write a check in glitter pen or whatever.
Yes.
If you can't fill out a job application in the thing you're holding, my main gripe was pencil. You know,
Sure.
like, hey, let's grow up. We're in high school.
Well, that's-
Commit. Use
That's
a pen.
also the math teacher. Funny enough, as a math teacher, side
It's
note,
always pencil.
no, mine was always pen.
Ooh, for
know
commitment.
Yeah. Own it. Own your mistakes. It's more important to see the process, right?
So I die on this
Let's
hill.
mathinate that, Waterman. Wait,
Good God.
What did I say last time?
Pew, pew, pew.
Mathify.
Mathify.
Thank you, Waterman. Let's
So
mathify that.
I am serving my students. I
Mm-hmm.
am teaching them my language. I'm going
Right.
to use that metaphor, right? And boy, was that flowers over dumplings. Yeah. Like you need to
100%.
grow up. I'm teaching English language arts. I should be talking about like analysis and things
Yeah.
that really matter. Instead, I'm
Skills.
really focused on the pens.
Yeah.
So one of my students, day after day, comes in with his homework in pencil. At the time, I mean, now I go, thank God.
Disrespect.
How dare you? Now I say, wow, he did homework every day. I
Right,
can't
right,
believe that
right.
happened. Well, I should
did
have been
that
so
happen?
happy about that. But instead I
Teacher
was
of the
like,
year.
and this was the sweetest kid that you ever knew.
You broke his spirit, didn't you?
No,
Oh.
because he's even that sweet. So here's what I did day after day. I go, if somebody else comes into this room with their homework in pencil, I am ripping it up and it's going
You
in
did
this
not
garbage.
rip up his paper.
So I have a side talk with him. I'm like, oh God, I'm in too deep. I don't know. And his name was not Brian, let's say.
Let's call him.
His name was not Brian.
No. It was any name but Brian.
It was
No.
broing.
It-
So Brian comes in,
Got it.
and I had him in the hallway the day before, like, listen to me. Please don't come in. I'm gonna
Right.
have to rip up your homework.
Begging you.
Please.
Hmm.
Again, can't imagine why I was on this hill, much less bleeding out all over it. So he comes in the next day. Guess what he brought me? His homework written in pencil. So the sweetest boy ever. And I'm now a boy mom. I have a 7-year-old boy, as you know, because he's your nephew.
Yeah.
I just picture my own kid. Like this kid was way just too
He
precious.
wasn't 7 though.
He wasn't 7,
Brian,
but oh my
right?
God.
9th grader. Nonetheless, he might as well have been.
I crushed him into a powder.
That's right.
Turned 7. So he's standing there, and I'm like, okay. And in my heart and mind, I thought, like, okay, this is what being a teacher is. I got to
Sure.
go through with this.
Control.
This is time for me to grow up
Discipline.
and show them my
Heck
language
yeah.
of, let's do
Don't
this.
smile at Christmas.
Oh my God. So I ripped up his homework, obviously,
Oh my Lord.
like shreds.
Been arrested.
Low and slow.
Oh.
I did the
Thankfully,
whole.
you are not working now in that same class.
No, I'd be canceled immediately.
100%.
So
and should be.
Yeah, should be. Here's why. Guys, team, are you with me?
I am. Go. I'm waiting. I'm hanging.
So he goes, I understand what you had to do.
Oh my good Lord.
That's this kid, right? Okay, don't do what anybody else is your consequence. Later that day, he comes to me and shows me his IEP that says that he can do all of his work in pencil, no matter what.
Honestly, I think I'm wondering what the statute of limitations is right now because federal offense.
His name is not Brian.
Thank God.
And I
Oh my
called his parents
Lord.
immediately. Yeah, no, true story. And taped his homework back together.
Richie is frowning upon you right now.
Talk about flowers. And
Yeah.
the dumpling of that is that his homework was great. I mean,
Wow.
here's my heart bare. I
yeah.
ripped up his personal writing, his feelings in English. I love teaching English because your feelings are the answer.
Right.
Except if they're written in pencil.
Okay, apparently.
So that was my
Thank God our
horrible
lives
lesson
are written
that
in
I
pencil,
learned.
And that kind of became my way. You asked for it before, and
Yeah.
and then got into this.
Well, I wanted to
gut-wrenching
make a
stuff.
safe
This is like
space for you.
This is like the saddest podcast of all time.
No, Brian's great now.
Well, Richie's not with us, and
Brian is
and
super
Brian-
successful, probably.
we are not sure about it. Let's look that up.
I'm going to say probably.
Waterman, get on that, please. We need to find out if Brian's okay.
Come on in, Brian.
And, yeah. 1 second, Brian. So the thing about it for me, and I don't know how to say it except to say what you said, which was vulnerability. But I think that I tried to teach in those moments, in those ways, the way I wish I was coached as an athlete. And that is to say that it's not just about like there's a great scene in Hoosiers. I don't know, Waterman, put it on the screen. I'm just kidding. There's a great
have to
scene
pay
in
for that.
Hoosiers. There's a great scene in Hoosiers, the old basketball movie, and it's all about the coach, and the team is the reflection of the coach, and it's you have to do it this way and have to do it this way and have to do it this way. And I have an own personal story about that. Seth Franco, former Harlem Globetrotter.
You're just throwing real names out.
He's yeah.
Hey, Seth.
If you're out there, Seth, give
he's
me a
out
call,
there.
bro. You owe me a call. So I remember one time, I was coaching basketball, and this kid ended up being, this was in high school, but eventually his career path took him to the Harlem Globetrotters, like the Harlem Globetrotters. And that was the kind of, and his thing was ball handling and dribbling and, move, and just had all kinds of tricks and all this stuff. And we had a very strong team, and we were meeting an opponent who, was not as good, but they were taking it to us. And it reminded me of the scene in Hoosiers, by the way, which I dovetailed. I jumped right off of Hoosiers and went personal. This is a better story. Hoosiers is good, but this is a real story. And so we get into the huddle, and I'm berating the team because we can't break the press. Now that was, full court press, full court pressure. That was like the hallmark of our team. And we couldn't overcome their full court press.
Right. We invented this.
Yeah. And so Seth looks up at me and he says, "Do you want to break the press?" I'm like, I gave him a, "That's what I've been screaming about" look. And he says, "Just give me the ball." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And I said, "Okay." When Seth gets open, get him the ball. And he proceeded to basically, metaphorically break every ankle in the building to the point where they wouldn't press us anymore for fear of looking dumb. And I'm like, wow, it wasn't about me. And that's where I went when I would talk to students who were frustrating me, or I just kind of lost it, maybe overdid the pencil moment. For a variety of reasons. The pencil moment is just it's a structure thing that they need to have some more voice in. And maybe you can have that conversation then.
And I think their voice, right, speaks to that universal language in a school that is only able to be universal if you're using empathy and vulnerability.
Sure.
Those are the two things I always say to pre-service teachers, to in-service teachers. Any monkey, you put monkeys in a room long enough with typewriters and they'll type Shakespeare. They could do paperwork. Anybody can do paperwork.
Wait.
Any monkey could be a teacher.
Are you telling me that a room full of monkeys with typewriters would type Shakespeare?
Eventually.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
But what we can't kind of... in other words...
No, I can't. Waterman, can you look into that?
It's verified. It's a fact.
Wow. Okay.
I forget how many millions of hours, but it's a fact.
Got it.
So anybody could do the tasks of teaching, but it's the empathy and the vulnerability that really make a teacher. And that is what Richie had.
Yeah.
And that is what was needed in those hallways to transcend any language barriers, learning barriers,
right? Yeah.
Readiness, stuff.
So how do we get that in our classroom? Can you
mathify it?
Can you teach empathy?
Yes, you can practice empathy.
Wait,
you can
you
foster
said yes
empathy.
very quickly to can you teach empathy?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Obviously I need to
you can teach
spend
empathy
some
by
time with you.
Fostering.
You can practice empathy. You can
modeling.
Yes. So if you're asking if we can teach empathy to students, yeah. We first need to practice that ourselves and model it. Yeah, for sure. But it's all about, we all know how to be empathetic. We all know how to be empathetic intrinsically, but it's about looking for and creating a structure that makes the steps of doing that priority and matter. Like that would be the substance, rather than saying, here, we're going to structure a conversation in the classroom. We're going to have a debate. We're going to practice even using the English language, right? Like, or whatever it is. We're going to use accountable talk. Yeah. Instead of, maybe scripting out those stems, or in addition to maybe first scripting out those stems and using that as a scaffold or something, then we take a moment to kind of slow down and be mindful and think about, okay, well, what do you think that person was feeling when they said that?
Yep.
What would you have done in that moment? How is that different from what happened?
Have you seen this used with like multiple entry points in terms of lesson starters? It's a process by which we use in our training a lot, right? And is embedded in Mosaic Instructional Planning.
What's Mosaic Instructional Planning?
I'm glad you asked. Mosaic Instructional Planning is a cloud-based planning software that guides teacher decisions every step of the way with embedded coaching and systems and structures to really learn and work the how of teaching over the what. It takes all the what, gets you to make good decisions, including multiple entry points, and how to structure that idea around entry to the content conversation. I definitely think that particularly early in the year to set a foundation, that would be a great use of multiple entry.
For sure.
Even in a math class.
Mathify.
And so because again, dumpling over flour, right? We're talking about, making sure that we've created foundational processes and structures, repetition of like action, that of vulnerability. Because in math, you have to be a risk taker, and you can't develop
Well,
that.
I think I said before, I love teaching English because your feelings are the answer.
Yeah.
And you have to create a space like I did for you with my story so that you could then subsequently tell your story.
Truth.
To be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
that's how you model that. That's what we get at. And believe me, there'll be a time where we get all up into it with fourth space reflection and shared space teaching. And, how do you give people experiences that they can then make their own and take away? That's like next level empathy. There's
And
one thing to
inspire others to do the
understanding
same.
and then inspire action in others.
I read your dissertation.
Yeah, you did.
Once, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's okay.
Brushed
it's
over.
enough.
Yeah.
The good parts. But that's, some people can do that because that's the kind of people they are, the Richies, right? We have Richies and we have former life Nicoles who talk about pencils.
We have pen pushers.
We have these, real world reality check kids.
So what's the takeaway? What is the call to action for everybody here?
The call to action is to think through when you're approaching your students who you may not understand their motivation. You may not understand their language literally.
Right.
You may not understand
even
where they're coming
cognates,
from.
right? Even how things translate weird. So we have expectations that we put on them that they're hearing a certain way that isn't necessarily offensive, but it doesn't get the right point across either, right? So we have to be aware and
oh my gosh.
empathetic to that.
Our friend Eugene says in Russian there's like 14 kinds of friends that are implied by the one word friend or whatever. So, or maybe I just totally did that wrong and there's 45 different words for friend and there's one concept. I don't know.
Yeah, you
but
don't need to
you know what I
correct it.
mean?
We could have just
Well,
rolled with
I'd
it.
want to be true to Eugene.
Waterman, fact check that, please.
Don't.
Truth. So go on. I'm sorry. So in terms of the call to action.
Yeah, so it's about recognizing, amplifying, and making plain and explicit those moments that you can be vulnerable, you can be empathetic, you can have the moments where you say like, okay, give Seth the ball. Or I'm guys, just so you know, I'm taping up Brian's homework because I was way wrong. And you need to.
I would have given Brian a homework pass at that point.
Brian.
Anyway, but the other piece of the puzzle, I think too, another takeaway and action step would be to try. I've seen it most successful when I've tried or encouraged others to try to involve the students in those processes. And that way they're not walking into your domain, your classroom. They're walking into their domain, their classroom. They're a part of the process. Some of them will take you up on it. Some of them will have some, really outlandish, almost said stupid. There's no stupid ideas except the ones that are dumb, right?
There's no stupid ideas, just stupid people.
That's true.
Who have ideas.
Right.
And they're not great.
Truth. So at that point, obviously you can't go overboard, but at the same time, any single time that you have an opportunity to include a voice into the process, a process that you probably have thought through so well and so much that there's not going to be a voice that comes in and counters that thought to the extent where it has to change.
Especially not on a kid, right?
Right. It's gonna end up being just about where you want it anyway. But then to practice that in content. So one of the things that we work on, we talk about is in early year. And we'll get into this in another topic of our podcast. But some of the early year responsibilities of teaching and learning, some of the structures you're trying to show and teach with children can be done in such a way that it gives voice, it shows your vulnerability, and it gives students a chance to feel like they're a part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, that's creating a culture of empathy.
And a culture for learning and a culture
and
for
in
risk-taking.
turn, a culture for learning, which is exactly the Richie story.
Yep. So
you've done it again.
You bastard, Rich. So we kind of in closing, I just want to make sure that we're really wrapping that up. That really social emotional,
Connection over content.
yep, connection over content, social emotional aspects of the learning process. Consider your ways, but also look to maybe highlight some of the Richies in your building, and
That's great.
a little shout out, and those are the people that play an integral role. And
Do they have to have a good singing voice?
it's only a bonus.
I
It's a
mean,
plus. But no, but at the same time, you know what? There is abrasive, as not to try to make this too serious, but in terms of voice, kids know. They know when you love them. They know when you don't.
yep.
And so our teacher voice is something that we have to consider, and the way in which we approach kids is critical to their success.
Awesome. Love it. Till next time.
Mugs up.
Dumplings
Over.
over flowers.
Hey everybody, this is the unseen but ever-present Waterman. Thank you for listening to Dumplings Over Flowers. Our current plan is to have new episodes every other week, so be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube or follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube or on social by searching Dumplings Over Flowers or @DumplingsPod. That's @DumplingsPod. Also, don't be afraid to leave a comment on our YouTube channel. Your comments, questions, or stories may very well inspire the conversation in our next episode. If you would like to know more about our cloud-based lesson planning platform, you can visit mosaicip.com. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.